One of the greatest feats in all of gaming was just accomplished. Deep Dip 2 has been finished. A Trackmania obstacle tower, 16 floors high, with no checkpoints to save your progress. The track was released on the 3rd of May. And in the 36 days since, there's been a heated battle to see who would get to the top first, with a $30,000 prize pool to the first 3 finishers. But this map is not for everyone. It requires thousands of hours of Trackmania experience to even begin attempting it, and then an extreme mental fortitude to play it for over a month straight. In this video, I'm hopefully going to be able to outline just how much of an insane achievement this is, and how much it takes to beat Trackmania's hardest tower map. Let's get into it. Quick backstory. 1.5 years ago, in November of 2022, a team of 14 mappers released a track called Deep Dip. It was an obstacle tower that, at its time, was the highest and most difficult one ever built, following the same format with no checkpoints to save your progress and many difficult jumps. There was also a race to be the first to finish that track, which I took part in. And I can tell you from first-hand experience that it is an extreme mental challenge to try to finish that track. You try to make progress, you get to a jump you've never seen before, and if you fail, your car could tumble all the way down to the ground. It can also land upside down at any point, which would end your run, ending in a dead turtle. The race to the top became a huge spectacle on Twitch, garnering a lot of attention for Trackmania. It was a race between many streamers, but ultimately it was the player Bren that managed to reach the top first after only 6 days, becoming the first person to beat the map and gaining 600 euros for his efforts. I've made a full main channel documentary about this if you want to learn more. As the months went by after the event, many people had fond memories of how fun it was to watch Deep Dip and participate in the event as well, and were asking the mapping team to make another tower, and they said, yep, we'll make another one, but we're going to go all in, making it 16 stories tall instead of 14, and making the difficulty overall twice as difficult. This is the monstrosity that is Deep Dip 2. When the map released on the 3rd of May, every Trackmania streamer and most professional players sat down to grind one of the most difficult maps ever built, both skill-wise and mentally. The tower starts out quite peacefully, with the lobby floor and the first floor being relatively easy to complete. But floor 2 is a huge skill check, with many precise jumps and narrow driving, including one part where you intentionally have to drive upside down, doing something called turtling to get over a ledge. There's also a huge jump with a plastic bounce, where when you're upside down on plastic, you can hit a tile and get pushed back by it without losing speed. Despite the huge skill check on floor 2, players explored much further on the first day, and Bren was among a few that got past floor 3, floor 4, and floor 5, becoming the first person to reach floor 6 in less than 24 hours. Over the next few days, he continued past floor 7 and floor 8 and floor 9, but gradually progress was slowing down as they had to drive so far just to have a chance at one further jump, and if they failed that, right back to ground level. They tanked hundreds of falls to get each little bit of progress, and Bren was also learning from others, competing with the skilled RPG and trial player Hazard and the player Elcon, who is a master of many styles, to get to the highest point. But the progress quickly grinded to a halt when they reached floor 11. This isn't really much of a floor, as it's just a few floating blocks, and every mistake is so punishing. Floor 11 alone took almost 5 days for someone to clear for the first time, with many runs not even getting up to floor 11 before they fell, but those that did often suffering an extreme loss of progress. After players consistently got past floor 11, the race heated up again, with more progress being made and another player joining the battle, Lars, another RPG and trial map specialists, and from here they would follow each other closely all the way up to the last floor. These 4 players are already among the world's best in Trackmania, but they put in 200 hours each of gameplay just to get to floor 16 once, and there they got stuck for over a week, because the last jumps are so tricky to learn on the fly, and there are ridiculous things you have to do, like a gravity-defying wall ride bounce, and a wheel hook onto the top of a wall ride, just keeping those tires locked on top so you don't fall off. The race to the top in the last days was exhilarating, but ultimately, and I might spoil it for you, it was Bren who got to the top first, when he drove this run I'm about to show you on the track, and hopefully I'll be able to convey just how much of an accomplishment it is. Did I forget to tell you he's world champion of Trackmania? He won the world championships in 2023. He is already an amazing player, but he had to put everything into this one run on the map. On day 36 of the event, 220 hours into the marathon grind, Bren pressed restart for the last time on deep dip. Unbeknownst to him, this would be the eventual run that gets to the top, and I'm going to talk about it and explain everything he does, what's difficult about it, and how he managed to beat every jump in one go without falling. But while he's doing the ground floor here, great opportunity to check out Bren's channel. He streams on Twitch, and he also has a YouTube channel where he might start posting more often. It's been amazing to see the support for the deep dip streamers. They've all had record viewership, 10 to 20,000 viewers live last year, going on their attempts, and Bren is no exception. So huge support from the Trackmania community. Definitely go check him out. But now let's talk about how he was able to climb it all in one go. One thing to notice is there's no webcam. There's no microphone either. And a lot of the top players did this. Bren as well. They have to give so much of their focus to every single jump that any distraction, any chat message they might read, any focus on being an entertainer would take them out of the zone and make it a lot more likely to fall. This is something everyone experienced, so Bren decided to go without any microphone, any webcam. Floor 1 here already starts to get a little bit difficult because of plastic. You have ice here where you have to go sideways and do an ice slide. But then here, for example, this is already a little bit of randomness with a jump into a plastic tunnel. And plastic can bounce you. If you hit it with the roof of your car, the front of your car, the side of your car, or the back of your car, then plastic can push your car in any direction. The only exception is if you land with the underside of the car hitting plastic. A regular landing, that'll be fine. And the surface is also very snappy in acceleration and very slippery when you have wet or icy tires. Plastic has been the villain of this map. Everyone dislikes the plastics parts. Some interesting stats here. So Bren is approaching floor 2 now. This is one of the harder floors because there's a lot of precise tricks. And out of the 25,000 players that have opened deep dip and attempted it, only 300 have made it past this floor. It starts with jumping onto the top of this booster, crashing the pillar to stop, and then instantly dropping with the car like so onto these railings. After that, you can drop upside down on purpose and now turtle and flip the car against this wall here to get back on 4 wheels and then over into the next part. Turtling there, driving upside down, is a quirk in Trackmania, where if you wobble the car from side to side, you see left, right, if you're able to keep that movement going, then the front wheels will always have grip. But if you ever mess up, or if you ever make the car stop the wobble, which sometimes happens with low speed, you are stuck. You get a dead turtle. This is something you don't have in Getting Over It, you don't have it in Jump King or Only Up, that your character model, despite being high up on the tower, can just be completely stuck. But in Trackmania, this is something that players are always on the lookout for. But he's at the end of floor 2 here. He's jumping up onto a plastic disc. You need about 40 speed for this. Bug slide on the landing to position the car towards this quarter pipe. And now a jump that is more precise than what we give it credit for. A flip into this little room here. And then from here, you can build up speed and jump to floor 3. Bren doing 2 laps here for good measure. And he reaches floor 3. So at this point, only 300 players or more have gotten to. But Bren already got about twice as far as this on the very first day, so definitely familiar territory to him. But I was gonna say there's a lot of tricks that I think I take for granted, having played the map so much, and players take for granted. But if you're seeing this for the first time, basically every jump here took many falls from Bren and others to figure out. Just to like, oh, this is how we do it. With wet tires and icy tires, we had to figure out, okay, you can do an ice slide on plastic. Here, there's a plastic wall, so you glide against it, stop sideways. This is also something that had to be figured out. And then turning the car towards here, getting some speed, and then jumping in a straight line up to the next water pool. I'll mention again, there might be new viewers. Water here, if you landed upside down on it, would always put his car back on tires. In water, you can never be upside down. And so the parts where the mappers place water, it's because they want to help him out. But if you've seen the first few floors, you already know how extremely difficult it gets later on. This is sort of just the part that you have to get through. It builds up gradually in difficulty. And now with one more bug slide, he's reaching floor 4 here. Bug sliding up on here. And with a good line, you can even do a direct jump there. But this is not about speedrunning, this is about survival. Jumps down to floor 4. The tilted floor built by Sparkling W. Every block here is slightly diagonal, compared to regular angle. So it means that if you have a lot of muscle memory, which all the top players do, then here you get thrown off a little bit. Have to build up speed. This quarter pipe jump took, I mean, maybe like 10 tries to fully solve that you could jump across this way. That was discovered by Elcon. And so before there was a strategy where you'd crash a wall there and bounce, but what you're seeing is the product of thousands of falls and probably a collective, you know, 2,000 hours by the top players in the game into this map and discovering all the ways it can go wrong and what gives you the best chance of survival. And so it's really just a treat to watch, and also just knowing that it's going to go all the way. But I don't want to skip any of this. I want to give you the full run experience of how this map is and what a test it is. Because think about it, how many jumps do you think he's cleared by now? He's almost at floor 5. Say there's 15 jumps on each floor. That's already 75 jumps in a row without failing. And there are many more to come, and these are in fact the easiest 75. But doing all this is over 10 hours just to do it once. And then getting consistent at it, that's where you see the refinement. But it's a treat to watch, and knowing that it's going to get to the top as well. It's just so happy for Bren that he finally pulled through. You have to jump up on the ice, stop the car, do a spin, and then go down to this platform. And here there's many different ways to aim, but you can look up and aim towards the pillar that you saw there. You go over the quarter pipe here, drop down, land straight without sliding on the grass, 190 or more speed to reach this ramp. What I really like about Bren's playstyle is that he's going for jumps that are 100%. Like, he could, you know, optimize it a little bit more for speed and such. He's the world champion after all, but he's choosing these jumps that just have such a good margin for safety that they cannot go wrong. Even if he wanted to mess himself up, he cannot. Like, the car will land on the next platform with his lines. And this 100% guarantee playstyle just makes each run count, and the proof is here. This run was driven, his first attempt into the livestream that he started in this session. Here, I think he's going to stop on purpose behind the booster he is. And here, he's going to line up the car towards this plastic wall ride. Remember, plastic doesn't slow you down if you hit it with the side. So he glides with the plastic wall and then bounces upside down on plastic and then lands in water, which always rotates his car back on tires. So a really cool trick there at the end of floor 5. Now a huge jump back to that ramp he was on earlier, going across and up, higher and higher towards floor 6 now. You reach floor 6 at about 600 meters, and the tower in its entirety is 1900 meters tall. So there's still so much climbing to be done, but he's making quick work of it, and he's getting to floor 6. This is a very precise floor with balancing on thin beams, and what's cool is Bren placed this in the internal camera. He cannot actually see his car here at all, but he just has such a good feeling for where it's at, since he's been playing with this camera in precise sections all his time in the game. And so he knows exactly how to weave through. He sees those parts more clearly in camera 3. But I would always use the one with the car on these parts when I was driving. Jumping across, another plastic bounce here, and I mean, it looks so wicked, right? You hit a plastic tile, you do a spin around, you get up, you keep going. It's really cool. But that being said, the coolness factor also wears off quickly when that bounce lands you upside down, you're upside down on ice, and you get some resets. Like, the plastic bounces on this map, everyone thinks they're wicked, but there's also been cases where it just fails and you get annoyed. You lose your run to a plastic bounce, you get annoyed. You can do the setup properly, feel like you did the skill part right, but still get scammed. It's part of the game. I think that's one thing players have been left with, is that a little bit too much plastic. Here a backwards part, and he has to drive backwards across this because these boosters would otherwise push his car away. But when driving backwards over them with momentum, the game doesn't slow you down when crossing anti-boosters backwards. And then here he's doing this trick. It's a wall ride flick. There's also one on floor 5, but you drive on a dirt wall ride, and with enough speed, the car will start having gravity-defying grip on the wall. And then you can do a jump where you just steer sharply up, and the car flies off the wall ride. Really cool. He's jumping up to the ducks. Quack. for these beautiful ducks. There are some on floor 7 and some also later, but this has been a staple milestone? Maybe almost a checkpoint, like you reach the ducks. On Mount Everest, there is this corpse of a person called Green Boots, and that's also like a milestone height that you reach on the mountain. But we have ducks on Deep Dip, it's a little less morbid. Going across the jumps here, and then up into the water. Need to not gear up to third gear there, he kept second. Now balancing across the hole here. If you fall into the hole, it is basically all the way down. Backing up for speed. Wet plastic, he's gonna also hug a plastic wall here, jump up to the left side, and land in another water pool. That again flips him back on tires. This part is very difficult. It is a roof slide. You're on your roof, you're gliding on plastic, and you have to set up the angle beforehand. You have to drive just slightly angled to the right, and then have this glide you all the way up on top of this block. Also a really difficult jump to get past on the map. I think this jump wasn't cleared until I'd say day 3, day 4. I think day 3 is when people started getting past this and onwards towards floor 8. There's one more plastic bounce here, which can fail, but it's exceptionally rare. And then jumping up on top of this tunnel, going backwards. And this floor was built by Techie, so here you have a artwork of his cat. I actually don't know the name of the cat, but need to go backwards because then you go forwards over here. And now there's 2 boosters that can push him into the void. If he goes forwards, he'll get pushed off the map. He goes sideways so that the boosters do not have any effect to push his car that way. For that reason, that's how it works in Trackmania. Another plastic bounce, and he's almost at floor 8 now. Just gotta get across the beam. 2 more drop downs onto this yellow one, and then the banana. And it's tempting to jump directly here, but this is again the 100% guarantee. You want to set up, you want to take your time, you want to get 100%, because that's not an easy jump. This is where things get wild. From this floor onwards, I'd say every single floor is harder than things you've been through already. So you've done the easiest half, now the hard half. And you're starting with a floor where you have to turtle. Nobody does this because they think it's fun. This is forced. You have to turtle and then unflip the car against the ledge to get the wheels on, and then you can climb over it. Otherwise, there's no way to get over that ledge. Now here, a inconspicuous jump. You go onto this ledge, and it's quite a lot harder than it looks because you're battling with having grip and not going too fast. If you go too fast, you overshoot it. If you go too slow, you slide off and fall down. Here there's one of the only shortcuts that people do in their run. Oh, Bran might actually not do it, yeah. There's a shortcut here that could save 30 seconds, but again, Bran wants 100%. And the flip doesn't really go wrong for that many people. I've not seen it go wrong. But what is this quote? That God doesn't play dice with the universe. Bran doesn't play dice with Deep Dip. He's going to go up. Turtling now. And this part is pretty crazy. You have a ledge that you can't drive on because the car gets pushed off. But if you go upside down, then your car gets grip against this block that is above you. The wheels are driving on the roof, pushing the wheel constantly into the corner. And you can balance across. And then you have to straighten out again because you need to start a wobble here. And Bran starts it. And now with precise steering, always pushing the car higher and higher with the wheels, you can keep the momentum going. Climb over another ledge. And the reason you have to climb up on this one is to build up speed. Going for a wide circle here and then dropping onto this platform. And here it is also possible to go directly, and it looks like Bran, yeah, is doing that now. Jumping up to this platform. Now he's driving on a ledge. This is the outside of the tower. Terrible place to fail. Small cat image and then jump up into this gap. Now the last turtle part of the floor, the most precise one, has to first go on these blocks and then a very thin railing just wider than the car, and he's gonna do this very fast, I think. Usually he goes and balances the entire center of the car across. I like to balance just the wheels when I played it. Personal preference, both work. And then unflipping against this wall. Now he's almost at floor 9. Floor 9 is where you hit 1,000 meters. The tower is 1,900, so that is like the official halfway mark. But in terms of actual driving distance, I'd say reach halfway in the middle of floor 8. Now he's across. Then just has to balance up the side of this wall. And he gets to floor 9 in 16 minutes 30 seconds. Really fast for also doing a safe route and other things. Just really clean. Nothing's gone wrong for Bren so far. And this point they reached, you know, 4 or 5 days into the event. That is a month ago. Like the first time someone was here was a month ago. And then from here, you know, the problem is it just takes so long. If Bren was to fail one of these jumps and fall all the way down, he would have to drive for 16 minutes perfectly to get one more attempt at it. And the best way to understand why this takes so long is maybe a joke. There's a classic Norwegian joke about how dumb the Swedes are, which is that there's a Swedish guy, he's painting the road lines in the middle of the road, the striped lines. And he spends 3 years doing that, just for a couple of kilometers. And the smart Norwegian asks the dumb Swede, "Why did it take you so long to paint the road?" And he goes, "Well, I had to go back to my paint bucket each time I put down a new stroke." And that's kind of what this is like. If you just got to bring the paint bucket, if you had checkpoints, like if Bren could just save his progress here, it'd be a lot easier. When he has to go back down to the paint bucket at ground level, it takes a long time. But floor 9 here, it's a really cool platforming floor. One of the best on the map. It has a really precise sequence here, where you have to build up speed from this roadblock, go into the quarter pipe and jump quite low to carry speed into it, and then jump up high right and make it onto this road. From here you do a quick 180, jump into a tunnel, drop down to a platform that's basically at the start of the floor, but dropping down with so much speed that you can jump up to a later block and then getting to floor 10. So to the left here, up to quarter pipe, and then jumping up on top of this pillar. And from here, you can drive on the pink block, drop onto a road, and jump to floor 10. To the left, drop down, small release here to land at the start of the ramp, and then jump up left. 100% guarantee. And now floor 10. This one again has plastic and ice, but it's built in a very consistent way, and it allows to demonstrate some really cool tricks. For one, pay attention to the snowflake bottom right. That is his car state, and it has icy tires now. When you have icy tires, when you go on dirt, you can do a very sharp flick with the mix of the two surfaces. So icy tires on dirt produces this sharp right steer that you're gonna see. So boom, the flick, and then straightening out, and that's how you build enough speed for this jump. That's also a trick that you'll see later on floor 16. One of the hardest jumps has a dirt flick, like so. An ice slide here, past the pillars. And these are mechanics that I just find it so hard to convey. These are mechanics that, to Bren, it's trivial. Bren is world champion. Bren has 10,000 hours in Trackmania. If you were to pick up Trackmania today, to do these simple turns, you probably need, and to do them consistently, like he is doing right here, you probably need 200 hours of just ice. But he has that fundamental, he has that baseline. And so I don't even need to commentate on it. He's going to make these turns. But you should not take for granted how hard all of this stuff is. And there's a map, if you're a beginner, called Shallow Dip, which is sort of a simplified version of Deep Dip. It only has 6 floors, and every floor is made harder, easier than the real hard version. Do recommend trying that. Right here, crazy trick. You have icy tires, and you have a downhill that is shaped like a chicane, And the only way to pass this with enough speed on ice is to, as the sign suggests, do a 360 spin. Take a look at this. Beautiful trick on deep dip if you haven't seen it before. Going down the hill, ice sliding to the left, holding brake to make a sharper ice slide, and then carrying it to a right ice slide and a spin to land up on the jump. Now going with icy and wet tires to turn plastic into ice and do an ice slide here. Ice slide up the hill for speed, and then ice slide the other way to stop the car. And then this next jump is seemingly blind, but there's scenery in the air the mapper wanted you to aim for. That diamond marks where the plastic tile is. And there's another detail here, which I think most people consider floor 10 the best one. On the right side here, there's a stoplight. You should start accelerating at green. And it's just like these small cool details that the mapper added. Jumping up here. Bren doesn't really check speed, but you need 278 to make it. Bren very much plays by feeling rather than checking the speedometer. Floor 11. This floor alone took 5 days and completely stopped all progress. It is one of the hardest on the entire map. It starts with precise platforming on these floating pieces. One of the hardest because the tricks are difficult, but also the recoveries suck. Just look at how many open spaces there are. Like, this isn't really a floor, it's just floating blocks. Drop onto this banana and then jump up here, stopping the car. Really easy to land upside down on that jump. Gotta be careful. Driving here and now dropping down into this quarter pipe before jumping up into water, and here you can unflip the car. Onto the dirt. Now onto another curved piece. And then the two hardest jumps on the floor, by most people's opinion. You have to stop the car next to this light. That's the setup that was found. Full speed, cut the corner, drop down onto this huge platform, then jump up and land on this curved block, stopping the car, making sure it doesn't fall to the right of Bren here. In the middle, there's just a chasm, a void. The Hoover Dam in the middle of the tower, where if you fall, it's guaranteed all the way down to the ground floor. And this next jump is truly ridiculous. You go full speed, you drop into this wall, tilting the car, going upside down, roof slide on plastic, bouncing across and landing in this water pool. You have to do this jump every time just to unlock a chance at the later floors, and clearing it for the first time took many days. Many days. Landing up on this block now. And then a tricky drop down. Hard to see fully where you're supposed to land in this one, but you have to get the speed to flip from this corner and land up on this platform. Backing up for speed at the very edge. And then aiming a little bit left so that his car will get all of the downhill off the banana, and then he can jump up onto the floating curved piece. Dropping onto what looks like a bit of a planet. I like to think this is Saturn every time I pass it. Two interconnected rings. Setting up for speed, and here it's very important he doesn't shift to the third gear. You want maximum speed in the second gear without shifting to third. And the gear shifts are automatic. These don't, like, Bren can't control them except his speed. One quick note here, this is floor 12. It was reached for the first time 20 days ago. And from here, the exploration has just been extremely slow, difficult, tedious, and you'll see why. First jump sequence, full speed. Dropping into this ramp without crashing the left wall, and then jumping up into this zone here. It's an easy spot to land upside down in, which would instantly end your run. Setting up for speed next to the hole, going down the hill here, landing early in this ramp, quarter pipe jump up, turning the car so you land with all the downhill momentum, slide to the left and aim for the pink block in the sky to land on this platform. Setting up in the corner. Gonna take his time here. Now going up left to get high on this ramp so you can push down onto this block, getting all the speed there, and then jumping across, stopping the car here. Getting a perfect 180 on this block. Going to the right, making sure you land clean in this ramp, jumping from booster to booster, up in the loop, slightly to the right, and then stopping the car on this next block, up here. Backing up to this corner, you need 125 speed or more to land into the next ramp. Go low from ramp to ramp here, and then full up left to make it to this platform. And now you can go direct. Bren is just going direct. No need to set up onto the booster, and then jump up here to floor 13. Still 3 full floors to go. And wouldn't it be annoying if the mappers had you drive through all of this difficult stuff and then left you with the 3 most difficult floors up top? Dropping onto this block, flipping onto a booster in a very steep hill. The booster catches him, pushes him up, but that flip is not easy. Then jumping up to this platform. All intended. This floor can be very confusing, but he's following the intended path here. Now, using the bobsleigh wall to get his car upside down into a makeshift bobsleigh loop where he has to build speed for a few laps. Usually players do 4 or more laps. This is lap 3. Now lap 4. He's gonna do 5, I think, and then get the speed here. Yeah, he's aiming for the pool up here now. Lands the jump. And the pool always gives you safety. Jumping up on this block. Tension might be rising. Might be starting to feel a little bit of nerves, but this is a part he's been through hundreds of times already to explore for 14, 15, and eventually 16. Jumping up on this block here, and now it's an interesting part. The intended route continues into this hole and following a few more jumps. There was a skip that was found here, where you can drop straight down. Drop down, you might say, yes. And then make your way to a later small recovery route here. This is a recovery route for a later obstacle that if you fail it, the mapper plays this to get you back there. But with this, you skip a few difficult jumps. Here's an intended trick. You jump and drive with this plastic wall. Drive all the way to the edge of this block. And then from here, you get access to a huge jump. So 2 boosters, wide line, and a very steep ramp has you jumping all the way up here. And now from here, counterintuitively, you drop down. This trick took several days to solve because you have to land on this plastic tile and bounce, and a setup was found to make this consistent now. But before that, players Hazard, Bren, and Lars all tried 20 different setups to find the working one, which ate into a lot of time. Here jumping and a roof slide with plastic, but this one is not too crazy. It will usually land in this pool. Usually. Now jumping and driving on a very thin plastic part with wet tires makes that slippery. If you fall off, it could cost you everything. Into another water pool, and now a really precarious part. This is the middle chasm. This is that hole in the middle, and you're driving on it as a wall ride, and you have to jump out of it and land on this ramp. If you fail there, gonna fall all the way down. Now a slight jump to the right, getting enough speed to go up this jump, turning around 180, landing the downhill of it to carry enough speed. Straight line, dropping down here, and then 1 block left to go up into a water pool, close to the end of floor 13. Brent's just insta-going. Here, you have to crash this pillar. If you go off, there's a gap behind this ice part here, so you cannot hit this wall. You have to hit the pillar to slow down, and then keep going. Floor 14. At this point, he's climbed 1,500 meters. There's 400 meters to go, and the final 400 meters are the toughest. This is also where my personal best is at on the map. I quit many days ago now, but getting past this part, I realized was too much of a strain for me, because the thing you have to realize is what makes this absurd is the way they are playing it. If you're doing a Dark Souls no-hit run, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna practice every boss fight and see, okay, this is how I get no hits here, this is how I get no hits there. Then you're gonna piece all that practice together, and then you're going to do your run. If you play a difficult piece on the piano, you're gonna sit down and practice the hardest parts first of the song, the piece that you're playing. But what the deep dip players are doing is they are starting the entire musical piece from 0. So if they fail, they go all the way back to the beginning without ever getting to practice the later difficult part. And so you're gonna have to play, at this point, a 30-minute musical piece. If you hit 1 wrong note, well, that could set you back 20 minutes of playing. If you're doing a Dark Souls no-hit, you would have to, you know, play for 30 minutes, get to a difficult boss fight, see you're doing it wrong, and then do it again. Driving across and setting up at the very back corner here for a intense sequence. Starts by going at full speed, dropping into the downhill to go faster. Now jumping up to the right and then building speed for a huge drop into a quarter pipe here. And now look at this. He is aiming to crash this wall on the right on purpose. It has boosters stacked that will push him up, but he needs to get the right car tilt to drive with them, drive off the panel, and then land into another water pool. Now, one of the last sequences of floor 14. A lineup with a bunch of boosters, which again, they'd have to figure out on their first try. They never got to practice this part before. You bounce on the plastic, you stop rotation, and it went wrong. And this, I would say, wasn't really Bren's fault. Like, Trackmania is a deterministic game. The same inputs produce the same result. There's no inherent randomness, but there is chaos. And that mistake can just be like a slight position difference that makes the car bounce slightly different, but it's not really something you get to react to in real time. Lines it up. He just wants a straight line. He wants the car to flip backwards and then cancel a rotation here to get a plastic bounce upside down and upside down there, and then bouncing into this water pool. Finally it works, and he can keep going. Here he has wet tires that he will have to wait for until they are dry. Could also decide to go, but this is a nice time to do it. Take a breather, take a small rest, and then actually commit for the jump you're about to go for. This jump is really difficult. He needs to go sharp upright and land up on this ledge here. That's not all. Setting up at the back corner and then dropping down and doing a bounce with the underside of the car. Nose down here so that the nose pitches up over that block and bounces onto this road. Still floor 14. One drop down onto a road piece, small release to land on this platform, then full left jump onto this ledge. And here is a bit of a weird trick if you haven't seen it. You go intentionally to the right here to get pushed back by the boosters in the roof. You might be able to see that better in a cinematic view. Now the last jump of floor 14. Setting up with speed from the wide corner, dropping onto this clean. And he makes it to floor 15. It's called Scared of Dragons. And the reason is that there is a floating dragon in the middle of the map. You're gonna see it here, but he's going to flip out to the right and land on this road piece. Then work his way through an entire floor of obstacles. And then lastly, come back to the dragon and jump up through the dragon. That's the last part. Jumping across here, and now a plastic bounce has to flip the car to get the plastic bounce to work into a water pool. And now an insane looking trick. You get onto the dirt to dry the tires, jump up to the plastic, and just look at what is about to happen here. He's going to drive up the plastic, drive on this thin ledge upside down, and then when it elevates, bounces his car back on tires. Also, really, really tough part. Now another obstacle. Line up on the corner, full speed, hit the wall, do a spin, and slow down on this ramp to stop the car. Pressure is rising, you're getting higher and higher, but think about what I said earlier, that these players have reached floor 16 9 days ago already and done many, many runs up there. There's a graph which shows Bren's attempts to floor 16 just the last couple of days. They're used to this, but they have to be focused. Up the dragon, you need a lot of speed to make this jump and the one to get the roof hit to stay on track. If you fall out of the dragon, it's a disaster fall, but he makes it. Straight drop down into the water, and he's very close. He has to go across the planets. First planet good, second planet lands it, third planet also clean landing, fourth planet, and then the fifth one, and now up onto this dirt road. This trick alone here took like 2 days to solve for the players. This is a really hard part. You drop down, you start an ice slide, insta-cancel it to get straightened out for this next jump, and now you need that dirt flick thing. Remember I talked about that? Sideways with icy tires, flicking the car, canceling rotation, and landing up here, slowing down by crashing the fence. Now the last jump before floor 16. This is where the pressure gets really intense. You can see the golden crown in the sky. That golden thing you see is what they're all aiming for, but You have one more floor to go, called On the Edge, built by Jumper471. Starts by going backwards through some boosters, because they don't have an effect. Go backwards. Setting up at the very edge of this block. And now look at the obstacle he's about to do. Quarter pipe to quarter pipe on the other side, giving him a loop with speed that he can then jump to the left and stop the car by turning to the left. First trick done. Now he needs to line up with speed, go up through the tunnel, and jump onto a pretty thin ledge. Not too unforgiving, but still not much room for error. Lining up at the corner, and now one of the hardest tricks in the entire map at floor 16. You go up this quarter pipe and you drop the tires onto the ledge to hook them onto it, and Bren falls. Luckily, there is a recovery for this exact trick. Middle of floor 15. Like, you just lost 20 jumps of progress. But that trick is insanely difficult. He's finally made it back to the difficult ice flick. He's going for it the second time this run. Turning to the right, also brake tap, and then lining up, and that is so butter smooth. Just really not making it look difficult, which I feel is the sign of an expert. I don't think the difficulty comes across because Bren has such complete control of how the car moves, but believe me when I say it's difficult. And he's back to 16 now. Second time around on the quarter pipe to loop transition, makes it, jumps across, able to stop the car. He has fought his way back to the wall ride hook. It's the second time around. Line up on the corner. You need to time exactly where you go up on this wheel hook, and the wheels are now stuck on top of the ledge. And he still has 40 speed, which will just glide him across. There's a thin block placed to make your car balance out at the end, and you get past the wall ride. And without even seeing it, the chat reaction to this, yeah, it is pure hype from everyone watching. We're there live for this. Now backing up at the very edge, and the thing about plastic, it's so snappy with the acceleration that when you're nervous and you're trying to do just a tiny tap and it jumps you a couple of meters forward or backwards, it's very sketchy. Now a transition sequence has the first jump, land on this ramp, and then aim for the tunnel right there, and then keep speed and jump into this tunnel here. Now there's a bunch of obstacles straight ahead, so he needs to build speed from the tunnel and then jump in between them on the right side, in between those two beams. Just there, down to the ice. Now slowly letting his car glide onto the beam here. He still has icy tires, so he's being very careful with this. Now the tires are dry, and here he's going to practice. The map for floor 16 places a section where you can practice a later hard section with a water pool below. If he just went for this jump on the real jump later, he would have failed. What Bren has to do here is first go up the wall ride with enough speed to get into the state where he has grip. I don't know why this works, but you will have grip if you put the car pitching upwards and driving in a wall ride like this. Then when you hit the plastic tile, you can go up, turn around, and try to get grip the other way as well. It is a necessary trick on a later wall ride. Bren is playing for $15,000 if he gets to the finish first, and 200 hours of effort finally coming together for a finish. I am not sure. So far, I've lost count of his success rate, but I think he's only gotten it like 3 out of 10. That was basically perfect, because now I can drive back the wall ride, and that's what you have to do on the top jump, so. Maybe he's feeling more confident now, or perhaps he wants one more. Okay, he spent about 20 minutes practicing this now, and he's getting the feeling for it. That was the second one in a row, and I think Bren is now getting ready to go onward. He goes for the quad pipe jump up. This is where the track actually continues. Jump across here and land on this block. From here, he has to gently line up, and now there is another dirt flick. You have icy tires, you flick on the dirt, you have to do a sharp counter steer and correct and land on this ice platform, and now the real quarter pipe jump. This is the one he's been practicing for, but first Why not? Why not place 2 flags on a beam so you have to very precisely navigate around without falling off? Why not? Floor 16. 40 minutes of climbing. Why not? Why not, mappers? Map's extreme, and here he is just going for it. Into the wall ride, gets the grip. Now waits for the plastic tile to appear. He needs to hit that with the bottom left tire only, carry enough speed to keep going, getting the dirt grip the other way, and now he has to keep this going for a while before jumping out at the very end of the curve to land up on top of this block. Almost clips and falls off, but it's enough to stay on. He has been here once before, and that time he overjumped a later jump up at the end of floor 16, but now he has a chance to redeem himself, has a chance to be first, just needs to clutch. Sets up for the jump into the tunnel. It's good. Lines up for speed. Double checks here. Knows where he has to go, but here is where he failed last time, and where he would beat his own personal best if he lands this next jump. Has to drop onto the dirt and then slow down just before he jumps off, and then stopping his car before it goes off the edge here. And now you're gonna see what I mean. You got shaky hands and you're driving on plastic, which is so snappy. It is not at all easy. Going very slow here on the ice, taking his time. He wants the 100% guarantee. It's one of these jumps that, while it's not that hard, it's hard because of the pressure. And again, more precise balancing. This one though, harder than the one earlier. There's less than half the car that can fit on that block, so you have to go fast past it. Brennan's double checking and he sees, yeah, there's more space on the other block. So he knows he has to go full speed onto the first one. And now he gets ready to send it. With speed, stopping against the pillar, and now has to navigate past these pillars too. Slowly working his way. One more to go up. This platform, he crashes it, but he keeps composure, goes again, and the car climbs up. Floor 16 is completed, and this is just the ending sequence. Built by the organizer, Sparkling W. Starts by lining up the car on plastic. He is scared, he's nervous. I wish we could see his live reaction, but he said his nerves was through the roof. Has to be able to line up on the very edge of the plastic here for speed. Happy with that, goes for it, straight line drop, makes it. Now a straight line jump with this plastic. Again, scary to line it up. After taking his time to line it up, he sends it slightly to the left to land early, makes that to over 200 jumps in a row at this point, no doubt, and still going. Like, think about just how many jumps this has been, and these ones he has never seen before. Or maybe he's seen them and thought about them, but never driven them. Here he has to climb up a pipe with enough speed. He was considering maybe going backwards up on the pipe to get more speed, but he thought first gear might be enough, and it is just barely. He's on the last jump. He is on the last jump. The crown is right there. And what's very interesting is that the final jump to reach the crown goes over that middle chasm. It is an all or nothing jump. If you fail, then you fall right down to zero. From the very last jump down to the first.
Allow me to introduce a very special guest. Someone's here to share a few words with you.
Hey, welcome on top. Here's Iris on behalf of the Nadio and the Deep Deep team. We hope you are enjoying your flight. You have the congratulations from the Nadio team. We wish you a pleasant jump and we'll give you the last call. 3, 2, 1, let's go!
The mapping team actually got in touch with the developers of the game, Ubisoft Nadeo, and had the entire dev team and the CEO record a special message that Bren got to hear here before he attempts his final jump up. The red line marks the finish. He needs to build speed in a circle on one of these other platforms and then go into the middle. If he makes it, he becomes the first person to finish both deep dips. And this one after 200 hours, earning him $15,000. An Eternal Video Game Hall of Fame. He goes for it but decides to back out. One more lap. Is he gonna be able to do it? Slightly more speed this time. Good corner. Bren sends it into the crown. And he makes it. He gets there. 1 hour and 6 minutes of continuous gameplay. 2 falls to set him back on floor 14 and 15 as well. Lots of practice on floor 16, but he gets there. And it is so deserved. He has pioneered most of the map. You can see top left, 2,700 falls tracked. Just in a moment, you'll see his reaction too. You can see his reaction. What relief he must have felt after so many hours of trying. Hopefully, I'll get to experience that myself sometime, but here, enjoy Bren's reaction.
This one feels good, even better than the first. Thanks for the subs, guys. Oh. I thought I didn't make the last jump. I thought I was lacking speed. I'm shaking like crazy. We're done. We're done with the map. I unplugged my headset by accident. I jumped on the bed with my headset, but it's not wireless. I think I was so close to not finishing, right? I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I'm so relieved. Holy hype train. Thanks for all the bits, all the subs. It's insane.
So Deep Dip apparently has its first 2 finishers after 200 hours of grinding, both within just 2 hours of each other. Bren first, Alcon second. There is one more spot in the prize pool up for grabs for $6,000. It's right now a 1v1 between Lars and Hazard. All their streams will be linked in the description. Go check out their channels. Deep Dip 2 has been an amazing event for Trackmania, and hopefully you find some more personalities to watch along the way. For now, give the spotlight to Bren and to Alcon, and let me know what you think of the event and this accomplishment. Have you seen anything that's more difficult? Type it all in the comments below. I'll read them all after I've posted this video. That's it for now, guys. Bye-bye. See you soon.